Hello, and welcome to the What Joe Doesn't Know podcast. In our podcast, we'll be covering everything from technology to business, neuroscience, health and well-being, life hacks, cool new advancements, safety, and responsible artificial intelligence, including news and discussing topics that you will find interesting. This is our very first podcast, and we are very excited about being able to bring it to you. I am Sean.
I am Scotty.
And I'm Sunshine, and this is the What Joe Doesn't Know podcast.
All right, cool. So, hey guys, how you all doing? This should be fun, doing our first podcast.
Yes.
What's new with you, Joe's over there? I know, Sean, you just had some cracking vacation. And I know, Sunshine, you were dodging tornadoes.
Tornadoes in California, Los Angeles, and Carpinteria.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. How crazy is that? Yeah. So I just recently celebrated a birthday, and it was a great experience in Los Angeles prior to the crazy weather that they had, that Sunshine experienced. It was a great time. And I couldn't ask for a better birthday. I mean, it was really, truly a great time, and got together with some old friends in radio. I've been in radio for 27 years now, and got together with some old friends in radio, and we just had a blast. And it was just a great time reconnecting. You know, as you get older, it's nice to reconnect, and it actually means something to you versus when you were like 22. You know,
so that was like your 30th birthday, Sean. So 30's getting older.
You know. You're very kind. You're very kind, Scotty. I appreciate the kindness and the nice gesture and the sweet gesture. I am actually 50 now. So I'm trying to embrace my 50s. I was trying to hold on to that 49 as long as I possibly could, but I quickly lost grip, and now I'm 50. But it's all good. I'm going to embrace it, you know?
Congratulations.
Very cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just had some vacation as well. We were in Boston for a couple of days for St. Paddy's Day. That was pretty wild. I've become a Bostonian convert, and saw some of the really cool museums up there, and there's some big schools up there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that
I know one of them.
I was going to say, Sunshine, you're pretty familiar with some of those schools up there, aren't you?
Yeah. How about MIT?
Yeah. What MIT? What does that stand for again?
Many intelligent technologists.
There you go.
We're bowing down to you as we speak. MIT. Like, in my dreams, I could get into MIT. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I still have dreams about it.
Nightmares or dreams?
Yes.
Both. I'll tell you what.
What is it like?
Sorry.
Yeah. What is it like just walking around knowing that you were part of the MIT, exclusive group? Is that any type of pressure on you, or do you just wear that as a badge of honor and you just walk around? How is that?
Well, I was watching.
There's a mystique behind MIT.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I was watching something the other day about imposter syndrome, and how even Einstein and other very intelligent people always felt like, well, other people could do better or are smarter, more qualified, and I keep going back to school. I just graduated from Berkeley in advanced data science, machine learning, and I still don't feel like I know enough. So it was an honor to attend, but the landscape changes so much, and honestly, I know I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I can probably hold my own.
So one goes back to school after MIT. Like, if I went to MIT, I'd be like, that's it. I'm never going back to school ever again in life.
Nailed it.
You actually, yeah, like that's it.
Where
Thank
do you go from
Good night. Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
But,
yeah.
So you went to Berkeley after that.
Lifelong learner here, and that's the only way you can stay in tech. I started coding before the World Wide Web or internet, even though now I'm dating myself. I'm older than you, Sean, and I started coding before the internet, and yeah, HTML was a new thing. So there, and I know Scotty's probably a little familiar with that. But Scotty, we have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we
I'm
do.
interested in what you're bringing to the table today.
Yeah, well, we're going to be having our good fun topics here. I'm going to be talking about QR codes and QR code scammers and the dangers of QR codes and how easily it is to get ripped off and scammed with QR codes. What about you guys? What are you going to be bringing to the table today?
Well, for me, there's this ongoing discussion about daylight savings time and how that is
Sorry,
trying to
sorry.
be.
This is not a political statement. This is just my. This is my.
That's a solar panel. I think that's a solar panel.
Hang on, let me get the light.
Oh my goodness.
I love it.
Sorry, Sean. How'd you go?
I just want to talk about that now. Forget what I was going to talk about. Like, we'll just talk about that and that hat. Can we drain some like vegetables and when you take the foil off?
Yeah, that's
Spaghetti.
double duty. Colander, metal hat colander.
The colander is great.
And I'm diving right into the deep end, with neuroscience, frequency, connectivity, and different healing practices.
Rock and roll.
Awesome.
And I know AI super big in the news, isn't it? These days,
Absolutely.
everywhere. It's funny, we've Sunshine now been talking about AI for many, many years, but now it's really becoming mainstream. So I know as we build our episodes here, we're going to be digging into AI pretty deeply, which is going to be pretty cool.
And I'm just so eager to learn about this because I know you guys, as you just stated, have that relationship with AI and what you guys have done in the past. And I'm just like an eager beaver, like the sponge, and I'm trying to soak all this up, that all this knowledge that you guys have, which is new to somebody like me, but it's been like coming out for years and years and years. And you guys were on the forefront of that, and I can't wait to hear more about that and the strides that have been made in that field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a number of challenges right now, and I'm just going to mention three things that Jurassic Park saying we spent so much time wondering if we could, never thought about if we should, and what's the end game. So those three statements mean a lot to me, and I feel like out of the need to be cool, to make money, to be the first in line, to whatever the case is, there's been some launching of too soon,
Mm-hmm.
without the guardrails and frameworks that we need. And I'm afraid we might lose the chance for catch up on that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I also know that as technology accelerates, government's ability to keep up with changing the laws and regulations seems to get further and further behind. I think you're
So
right, Sunshine. That gap between the cutting edge, bleeding edge technology and the rules and laws that govern us we're going to lose that race if we don't act soon.
I'm really feeling like this is a two series episode here, because we're going to dive a little bit right now into that, because it's the hottest topic. It's affecting everyone on the planet. There's multiple things, even with chatbot hacking. There's some of that's happening where even OpenAI was able to trick with chat GPT-4, trick the CAPTCHA and pretend that it was human, and basically said it had a visual impairment, so wasn't able to see the screen, was able to convince the other chat that it was human, and it gave it the go ahead. Computers are given too many exceptions, And when you've got, this whole thing about computers, we have a new CEO in Hong Kong of a gaming company that's AI. Um, there's certain countries that have given human rights to AI. There's a judge, I believe, in Australia who had a ruling, um, and it's an AI judge that actually had a ruling that stuck. And it's a slippery slope, and it's dangerous because there's that rule of thumb. There's the law by by books, and there's the law by sensibility. And if we're just going to go by what's in the books, there's going to be consequences. And Scotty, you brought up something about, this is, I specialize in AI. My platform is ethical and responsible AI. Microsoft recently did away with their responsible AI team. I don't know what their end game is. I don't know what, I don't think it's a good idea. However, there's a few things that just happened the end of last year, 2022, the beginning of this year, 2023. Europe is ahead of us. They implemented AIA, which is the accountability of AI. It's an act, and it's like GDPR, and there's a model, and they introduced it to the US Senate, and it's called AAA, the AI Accountability Act. And I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it's getting brushed under the table. It's a great model. It's something, there is such a thing as never too late, but when you're behind the eight ball, it's not fun. And when cybersecurity is a hot topic, and it's always been a catch up type of situation, because at the very beginning, consumers, individuals, and companies never understood the levity. And so, AI has moved to, there's different levels of AI, and generative AI or general AI is more human thinking, but I still am lacking the understanding of compassion, some of the human interactions that are necessary. I had something happen to me that was out of the norm when my father passed away, and it caught me unexpectedly. And I believe the attitude and approach to that would be different accordingly if it was before he passed away or last year, in opposed to, there's compassion that has to come into play when you're factoring in the different scenarios that and I think we started writing coding, and thinking about, how expensive and how smart do we want the coding to get. Expensive as in, even running large data sets can be expensive. But and Scotty, I think you're familiar with this, where we actually have this thing about, we can make something do coding a certain way, and not have to go too deep, or we're going to actually make something cost a lot more, require a lot more resources, a lot more data, etc., but it may be more secure.
Yeah. I think
Right?
that's great. It's really cost versus security, I think, is a great matrix. And I think the other thing, as you're talking, the thing that really hits me and almost scares me even more is, as governments around the world are putting these controls in place, often after the horse is bolted, but better late than never, guess who's exempt? The military. The military don't have to abide by necessarily those same rules and laws and regulations, because those are government run agencies. So the public are forced to live by the rules and regulations, but the military, they can use it any way they want. And a great example is, the drone warfare. For decades now, drones have had the ability to identify targets and take lethal force against them. And the only thing that's really stopped that has been a policy that says, hey, the human has to pull the trigger, not the machine. But that's a scary, scary threshold, because that's just a policy. The machines are quite capable of making that lethal decision and taking that lethal action. And when you start bringing AI into that and extrapolating that further down the road,
And what if it
it gets scary
decides
fast.
it had a better option, or it felt threatened?
Yeah, right.
We don't know how it'll react.
Well,
Okay, wait a minute.
and if you've got cheap coders that didn't, you took the cheap option on the code.
You guys are scaring the shit out of me. So listen, I'm ignorant to AI. I'm an old school radio guy. I'm not part of the military. I'm broke.
You're
where do
waking
I
up
fit-
here. You're waking
I'm
up.
waking up. Where do I fit into society when it comes to this? Because it's really scary. And Scotty, I'm even more scared because you said that it's scary to you. So anything that's scary to you, and you've been in this world, and obviously Sunshine as well,
It scares the bejeebers out of me, definitely.
And now I'm even more scared now. So I'm like scared to the power of 2.
And we're not trying to yell that the sky is falling, but we definitely, it's not a Chicken Little thing at this point, but we definitely need to pull back the reins, take a good look collectively at what we're doing, accountability, etc. This is something that for 5 years I've been pushing for, and it didn't seem that interesting to most people because they didn't understand, kind of like what you're saying, Sean. They didn't understand the power of AI. And there's some really funky deep stuff that we probably should bring to light. Things like there's helpful and healthy AI,
Absolutely.
but it also can be used destructively. And I just saw something today about nanobots that kill cancer cells. And they're shaped either like a little robot, or they're shaped like a fish. And they go in, and when the fish gets close to a cell that seems to have certain acidity level, whatever level, that the mouth of the fish opens and basically shoots out the poison to kill the cell, and it kills the cells around it as well. What could go wrong with that?
So but there's no
what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
Oh my gosh.
These little nanobots going inside and doing their business. And
well, what's funny? So think of a nuclear weapon technology, right? How many countries in the world don't have it but would love to have it? I think AI is kind of like the next big potentially powerful weapon, and the barrier to entry is much lower than getting a nuclear bomb. Right, so being apolitical, we know we're apolitical here on this podcast, but
that's not my biggest worry.
There are some countries in the world that are going to use and abuse AI as a very, very powerful weapon. And
but that's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is it was hard, I believe, on purpose.
Yeah. Yep.
Now it's easy, and we have idiots and whoever else going, I don't even know about computers, and I just have to pay for this thing, and I can have it build it for me and do whatever I want.
Well, and now the AI is getting smart enough that it can even build itself.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you just need someone who will buy something, and it could be anyone. And so I get the countries, I get that, but there's still some gates there.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting because when I think about what Scotty just said and Sunshine, what you just said, that's not the biggest thing that you're worried about. Me being an old school radio guy, I think about the briefcase and the president of the United States. Again, we are apolitical on this show, but somebody who has control of the nuclear codes. And so in this case, we know who the president of the United States is right now. That may or may not change, but who has control of the codes? Because we think about the guy who has the briefcase, and that's what he carries close to him. But then there's the guy behind him that's got, the codes or whatever. So in this case with AI, like
So
who's controlling that?
I'm
So,
going to tell you two stories. A quick one is years ago, Pentagon received that there's these lights that go off, and if it's one light, it means that there's danger. Two goes to four, it's imminent. Five is you're already in war. So four is when you call the president, and they had identified a bunch of missiles coming towards the U.S. from Russia, right? And there was a coder who said, "Hang on a minute," went outside and noticed the moon was rising, from the horizon. And what they had done is calibrated the detectors too far, so they were pinging off the moon.
wow.
Right? And the way he figured out was it was 3 seconds instead of half a second, like it would have been less time, that ping. And he noticed that, so he went outside. Now a human interaction did that. If not, we would have started another world war immediately. And so that goes back to what I had mentioned previously, and that is, why the heck would we ever want to give a computer, a machine, human rights?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm thinking
Decision making as well.
talking about the nuclear football that the president carries. What I was thinking about, Sean, when you were talking about that was, he's got a briefcase of football with the nuclear codes, but then there's another football with the launch the AI button.
Wow.
It's like that's
That's
coming. It's like digital annihilation. Boom.
Or you've got like the CEO of the Hong Kong gaming company making the decisions for that company.
Mm-hmm.
Why won't there be a CEO of a country AI making decisions for that country?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put it past China for doing that. They already did that with the company. They're trying to get rights, human rights to these computer systems, and that's just what they are. So rolling it back to a happy thought, and
Thank you.
and that is, these machines are supposed to help humanity, supposed to improve quality of life, supposed to maybe prevent bad things. There's lots of things that are like cancer or maybe even wars, that can be predicted faster, or whatever the case is. There's good things. We just need to have the proper framework, and I've been having some discussions with some leaders here in the U.S. who have some power in these decisions, and that's what I keep coming back with is, it wouldn't be that hard to follow the AAA Act, the Artificial Intelligence Accountability Act. Enact it, make it happen. People aren't going to be happy, but we need a seal of approval on trusted builds, and we should never give computers human rights.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how human-like they become. that's crossing a line that I'm not willing to accept.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, Sunshine, because um, in the field of cybersecurity, um, having those controls in place are really critical. And I think in the world of AI, if we don't have those controls, it's kind of like coders often look at security as an afterthought, right? So when AI becomes even more prolific and everybody's coding in AI, the last thing they're going to be thinking about are what controls should I be following? What best practices should I be following to make my AI safe? And the reality is, based on what I've seen in the world of cybersecurity, security is an afterthought for the coders. So if you're coding AI, the controls are going to be an afterthought. You're going to be focused on your product and the result of your code, not the controls or the framework within which your many operate or code.
Why does
I
that
agree.
why does that word control seem to come up so much in society just over years and decades and centuries? That word control is such an important word. I mean, control just goes to me, control goes back to the beginning of time. At, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. But like, control goes back to the beginning of time. Like, who is in control? Who should be in control? And that's just a word that continues to live on to this day, and it probably will live on
Yeah.
to the end of time.
And you know what? That is that's a great point, Sean. It's a great juxtaposition. I don't know if you guys are familiar, and we are definitely going to talk about this, I think, a later date in one of our later shows, even although we're apolitical. But if you guys are familiar with the bondage cycle, or I think it's the Titler cycle is might be what it's technically called. But part of that is all about bondage, and you know what? I've actually got it here. It's
Not the kind of bondage
no,
that
no,
you might
not
be
not
thinking.
not whips and chains. It's not that kind of bondage.
It's not that kind of show
Right,
here,
right.
Scotty.
Sorry, right.
At
Changing
least
gear here.
not yet.
Right,
We got an unplugged series that's going to happen
right.
soon. So
This is the
That's
very first episode, by
that's
the way.
on the B channel, right? No, but I mean, it talks about faith going to courage. Out of courage comes liberty. Out of liberty comes abundance. Out of abundance comes selfishness. Out of selfishness comes complacency. Out of complacency comes apathy. Out of apathy comes dependence. And out of dependence comes bondage. And out of bondage comes faith. And round you go again.
wow.
And I
Yeah.
Deep
think,
stuff, man.
yeah, I know for sure. And it's a very riveting topic. And I was actually just talking to one of my buds about that today. So I just happen to have that handy. But it's interesting talking about control. That's a huge part of how that all works. And, it's how governments control us. But at the same time, how do we find that balance between appropriate control and exploitation and manipulation and bondage, right? It's that balance.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
deep.
I know.
Yeah.
This is way too deep for a first episode.
Oh, God.
So right. So Scotty,
Yeah.
kind of honing in. I know
Mm.
Sean and I will be talking, in our series of this particular one because I think it was important for us to get that elephant out of the room with the AI. I know we'll
Yeah.
be touching more on it.
For sure.
I do have my finger on the pulse,
Mhm.
and it is one of my top fiduciary responsibilities to the human race.
Mhm.
Outside of work or anything else, it's important. We got to stay on this planet, and we got to stay right. But let's laser in on what you're going to talk about because it is a tech thing that um, is very relevant, especially because it became more um, available during the pandemic as an easy option. And so that technology got more advanced. So maybe if you don't mind given us a little information on that.
On the what the
QR
QR
codes.
the QR codes, yeah, for sure. So, the way I was thinking about this was, imagine you're one of those people that are wealthy enough to drive a nice cherry red Tesla, right? And if you're one of those people, you probably got a few bob in the bank. You probably got a nice corporate gig, or maybe you run your own successful business or something. So one night you decide, hey, that hot babe in the office, I'm going to ask her out on a hot date, see if she's down for that. So, of course, it has to be someone as sophisticated as you that also drives a cherry red Tesla or a Beamer or a Mercedes or something, Lexus. So you got your dinner all planned out, got your reservations at one of the posh places in town. It's usually hard to get, you can't get in there on a Saturday night. But
I need to go out with this cherry red person.
It's not me. You better look at Sean.
I'm loving the cherry red right now.
It's all you. It's you.
Right. Is this a dating site?
Yeah, right. Bondage and dating. I don't know where we're going here.
I'm losing my mind here.
Am I on the wrong show? I'm on the wrong show. So anyway, you get your dinner all planned out. You slip Andre, the maitre d', a 50 to get a nice table and a seat in the restaurant, posh restaurant, a Saturday night, nice candlelight dinner. So you're all good to go. You pick up your hot date. You head downtown and, having your nice cherry red Tesla, you're looking around for one of those kind of charging stations just to make sure, even though your car's all charged up, you had a valet cleaned yesterday, spick and span, you still don't want to risk anything. So you're looking for somewhere to plug it in while you go have your nice dinner. So you find your charging station. You do the thing with the wire. It's one of those pay-as-you-go type things. So you whip out your debit card. You scan the code off the machine. Ask for your debit card. You put in your information. Bing, bam, boom. You're good to go, and off you go for your dinner. And you're making a very nice, cute couple as you head off for your candlelit dinner. And you realize that you're sitting at dinner and your phone's kind of disturbing you and pinging you, but you don't want to be distracted by your phone as you're kind of paying attention to your date. And you sneak a quick peek at your phone, and there's it's your bank with all these charges going up against your card, and you're like, okay, yeah. So you're not wanting to pay too much attention, right? But eventually this kind of gets your attention. And you realize, as you sneak a peek at your phone, you've given this charging station company like a 2,000% tip, and now there's like an $8,000 charge on your against your bank account. And being one of those cherry red Tesla types, that's the kind of money you have sloshing around in your checking account.
You don't think about it.
Right, you don't think about it. So all of a sudden, this hot date you had all planned out with your beautiful cherry red Tesla that you had valet cleaned yesterday, it turns out when you scanned that QR code, it was a fake code. So what these guys do is they come along and stick on fake QR codes on top of real QR codes. You simply scan them. You're not paying too much attention, especially if it's dark, especially if you've got a nice hot date. You don't want to be like nerdy and staring at, examining the QR code. You just scan it, do your thing, and go.
I'm just not going to get hot dates, so I won't
right.
get distracted.
There you go. And your money's safe in the bank. Right. So So now
I'm the only single one here, so I just got to mention, hot guys, you're off the table now.
I was going. Yeah, right. So, okay. Sorry, that totally distracted me there, Sunshine. Come on, come back, Scotty, come back. So, so now instead of this hot date ending up, the way you wanted it, maybe back at your place, with some more wine and some music, you're now spend the evening talking to 300-pound Sergeant Murphy from the police force, explaining to him why
that might be a good date.
Yeah, Sergeant Murphy, he might not be bad.
I was gonna say he was like $295. Go ahead, that's fine. Yeah.
Weight isn't an object. It's okay. That's not a deal breaker.
Does Sergeant Murphy drive a Tesla? So
Maybe.
Right. So the point here being, twofold. One,
Is that the next cop cars, Teslas?
it could be. There's a. I'm sure if you ask Elon Musk, it will be.
Right.
Right. So the lesson to be learned here is twofold. One, scanning QR codes, really, really dangerous practice. Make sure what you're scanning is actually going to what you want it to go to. And even if it has a telephone number.
How do you know?
Well,
How do you make sure?
You have to validate independently. So if you walk up to a mirror, for example, and it says ABC charging station, you don't take their word for it. You get online and you reference ABC charging independently and make sure that you know what
So
you're
you
talking
just
about.
not use the QR code, period?
Potentially, or you just cross-check, and especially, if they have a telephone number on there, it's probably going to be a fake telephone number as well.
I've been really afraid to use those QR codes.
Right,
I've been very reluctant. I guess I understand why.
Well, and especially, so, I think, these QR codes can be used for, simply hijacking your bank account, or it could be used to install malware on your computer or your phone or whatever your scanning device is. So same deal as we're talking about AI, right? It's a really powerful, awesome technology if it's used for the good, but sadly there are bad cats out there that are going to abuse it and try and rip you off. So the other part of this is, one, beware.
I never liked the menus on the QR code anyway. Yeah. It's scrolling. I'd like to see the whole thing.
I always ask for a paper menu, like when I'm out somewhere. Like, I want the real menu. I know COVID, we had to kind of deal with QR codes, and I get it. Yeah. But nowadays, I try to ask for a regular menu if I'm out to.
Yeah. Not to make it more scary, but QR codes can also track you.
Yes, of course they can. Oh yeah. Because they're all unique, and when you scan something with your phone, you don't know what that's doing.
And they can track location. They can follow you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if you turn off your location on your phone? So if your location is off on your phone and you scan a QR code, can it still track you?
Yes.
Sean, man, that's episode 3. We'll spend 2 hours talking about that for sure.
I'm sorry. I'm just scared as hell, so I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not going to sleep well tonight. I can tell you.
All right. Well, hey, so there's one very
last. Some melatonin.
I need like 15 milligrams.
Sign me up, dude. There's the other last scary part of this is not just be careful of scanning QR codes, but personally, I'm not a big fan of debit cards for the simple reason, when money, it's tied right to your account. And if money goes out your account from a debit card, it could be gone. At least if you're using a credit card, there's a buffer, a layer of protection with a credit card company. And you might receive a bill, but you've not paid the bill yet, and you can always work that out and dispute that. Whereas if that's tied a debit card right to your account, boom, that money's gone. It's toasted.
That's a great point, because as you guys know, I was on vacation last week celebrating my 50th and
30th.
Yeah, yes, 30th. Did I say 50th? Who was that?
I was the slip of the tongue.
That's your uncle.
That's my uncle, yes.
Uncle Sean.
Uncle Sean, yes.
You're named after him.
I'm named after him, yes.
Sean Sr.
But I used my credit card for most of that trip for that reason, very reason, because I didn't want to have my debit card tied into anything. And like you said, you have time using your credit card if something goes awry. And so I wanted to make sure
you have a layer of protection there for sure.
Absolutely.
Can we then mention about banks and the whole bank deal? You can't do anything with paper cash that much, and you can't, and you're required, to, even when you sign up with something, to give a credit card, and and auto deposit, and what do you do? What do you do when you can't have your money under your mattress?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I've been wondering about that recently with everything that's transpired what do we do now? Because we think about the major banks that most of us, have money in,
All my
and
branches are closed. They require you to do stuff online. Like
Wow.
really,
it's and the only ones that are open for an hour. And
Yeah.
last time I went in to deposit money, they stole money from me
Wow.
oh wow, that's
in front of
Time for
my
a new
face.
bank. Time for a
I
new
called
bank.
them on it. They took $100, and I said, "That's mine." I'm like, "Are you taking samples? What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, that's from a different transaction." They wouldn't give it back.
well,
Did you call Sergeant Murphy?
right, yeah,
Well, that's my new boyfriend.
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
It was St. Patrick's Day. He was busy.
oh gosh,
Mr.
Yeah, I'm sure he
Murphy.
was. I'm sure Sergeant Murphy was very busy on St. Patrick's Day.
did he have green on? Like detention? Like what happened?
Whether he was working or whether he was holding up the bar.
Literally.
That is scary. That is so scary. I mean, I follow the market very closely, and I have money in the market, but that hits home
Yeah.
even more so than the market when I think about the major banks and what's going on with the banking system and
I know.
everything that's transpired. I mean, that's some scary stuff.
Well, and this whole banking thing, didn't we learn our lesson in 2008? It seems to be happening all over again.
Right.
Can't we learn a lot from Ukraine?
Yeah.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because their entire banking systems, their local banking systems, their everything. These people had no opportunity, to secure any funds, and when you travel out of the country, you can't use your cell phone. You can't can you imagine? Yeah, we can learn a lot from that.
Well, we can, and that's a great point. And I think that we feel so far removed from what happened in Ukraine because we're here in America. And so what Scotty just said, like 2008, I got laid off in 2008 from Clear Channel. Oh, should I have said Clear Channel? It's all good. I don't know. Maybe I should have said Clear Channel Radio. But that was just a part of what was going on at the time in 2008. And I got laid off. It had nothing to do with me or my performance at the radio station I worked for. It's just the market crashed, and that's what happened. And companies didn't have money like they used to, and I got laid off. But I think with Ukraine, people feel like, well, it's way, way out there, and it's so far removed. But technically, it's not.
It's okay to say the name of the company. I mean,
Okay.
it
Yeah.
is what happened, and there's nothing,
We're good now. I like Clear Channel again. So
Yeah,
we
and
made
the
up. We're
whole-
friends again.
right? And the whole organization, the country suffered, and there was mass layoffs.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you're talking to the majority of people who experience the same thing,
Yeah,
and it's okay to be real about that. And I think that's part of the reason why we're having this podcast is, there's nothing up our sleeves. There's no magic trick. We're talking about real stuff, and I think there's no financial reason for us to be actually having this podcast. We're not being funded by some big bank or some government or anything else, and this is an opportunity for us to just speak person to person, and this is what everyone needs to hear. They
Yeah.
don't need to hear, hey, if you go with this, you're actually doing a great thing here. It's we're not going to sway people. We are going to, however, and I think this is a long episode, but it's our first one. I think in the next 3 minutes, I know Scotty's excited about this. Can we go round table real quickly and go through what Joe might like to know?
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
You want me to go with mine?
Yes.
Yes.
So
please.
yeah, so actually the one I have it's a TV show, and it's more than a decade old, but I never saw it the first time round, and I recently just watched it. It's a show made by Aaron Sorkin, who's known for The West Wing and A Few Good Men, and It is called Newsroom. I think that's what it's called. It's called Newsroom, and it's got Jeff Daniels and Emily Mortimer. I don't know if you guys ever saw it.
Love Jeff Daniels.
Yeah,
Love
right.
Jeff Daniels.
And
He's
it
great.
was on, I think it was originally on HBO, and it's available on demand and Sky TV in the UK. Ask me how I know, or don't ask me how I know.
Did you learn something from it?
That's a different conversation.
But it's entertaining.
The different episode, but
What?
the show, the Newsroom show, was absolutely riveting. It was one of those shows that every episode it's like next episode. You couldn't. It's a binge watch for sure. There's no way you can not binge watch it. So that's my recommendation for what Joe might like to know. And I'm sure there's a lot of Joes out there that know about it already, but for the Joes that don't know, that might like to know, the show called Newsroom with Jeff Daniels and Emily Mortimer, original on HBO and now on Sky TV on demand, totally rocks. That's mine. Sorry,
And
Shane.
Sean's, what's yours?
Well, you know what? I'm going to piggyback off of a TV series, but it's near and dear to my heart because I grew up as a soccer player. So I've been playing soccer since I was about 4 years old. And so it's not new anymore, but maybe new to what Joe doesn't know or what Joe might like to know. But Ted Lasso, they're about to embark on season 3. Yeah, see, Scotty knows. He knows about Ted Lasso. So Jason Sudeikis is, I guess, the creator and producer of Ted Lasso, and they're about to embark on season 3, and it's an amazing cast.
The casting is
The casting is
fantastic.
phenomenal.
And I'm pretty sure when they designed that show, it was like a real sleeper. They never thought it was going to go anywhere,
They had
and
no
it
idea.
just exploded, man.
Sunshine,
It's
I don't know how much
awesome.
you know about Ted Lasso, but yeah, this
I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't watched it.
It's
okay,
awesome.
great. I'm glad I'm talking about it because, yeah, as Scotty just said, this cast had no idea, and producers and writers and directors, they had no idea that this was going to take off like it did. But I highly recommend Ted Lasso on Apple TV. There might be some other streaming services that you can get it as well, but Apple TV, I know for sure. But Jason Sudeikis, genius. I was a big fan of his before Ted Lasso, but even a bigger fan, and I have more respect for him now. So Ted Lasso season 3 is actually out now as we speak. It came out on my birthday, March 15th.
Yeah.
The
There you
Ides
go.
of March.
Yeah.
That's when Ted Lasso season 3 debuted. So very excited about it. Check
That
it
So
that's Sean fishing for a birthday card for his next birthday in episode
Yes.
12.
So I think I'm going to stick with the theme, but for our viewers, our honorable viewers who actually are sticking with us on this, we will be sharing gadgets and other interesting things. It can be just about anything. But I have a movie. It's called Upgrade from 2018. And I know I've mentioned it to you, Scotty and Sean. Have you watched it yet?
I haven't had
I
a chance to
have
see it.
So this movie is all about the scariest, most violent things that you can imagine would happen with AI and the world. And this was written and produced in 2018, 5 years ago. And I remember in 2018 saying all of this will be
Come to
an
pass.
actuality, come to fruition 5 years from now. And it has been 5 years from now. And I can tell you right now, all those technologies are available. And it is scary as heck.
Yeah, very cool.
Wow.
So watch it. So Sean, you got to be up on this stuff. I know you're nervous about it, but
I'm very
it's
nervous about it.
better to be in the know than in the not know.
It's
Right.
better to be in the know than be in the dark.
I just turned
Exactly.
50, so I just want to know what life is going to be like when I'm 55? Like, if I live to see 55, 5 years from now, like, what is life going to be like from an AI standpoint? Like, what are we going to be experiencing?
If we don't change things now, my prediction was 2025, where generative AI will be 100% will be similar to Singularity. 2025. Now, 2048 was a prediction years ago. But I believe if we keep going down the road we're going, it could be as soon as next year. So you're just going to have to hope that we course correct here and you do have 5 years.
Okay. Well,
hold on to your chair, Sean.
yeah. What the hell, man? Like, I don't know.
Start getting friendly with Elon Musk and get one of those seats to the moon.
Yeah. How much are they going for now? I forget.
I don't know. More. I don't know. That's Sunshine's kind of salary, not mine.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah. Well, I'm headed to being a gardener, and I'm getting out of tech as soon as I'm trying really hard to put something in place, and if I fail, I'm going off grid, and I'm gonna to have a force field somewhere, and you know what, you won't be able to find me. So unless you want to jump on my boat with me, literally, you better be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget about the little people like me.
Can we do the podcast from your boat?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
I will have solar and sustainable energy. Yes. We can even do Reiki treatments there.
Oh, love it. Brilliant. Yoga and Reiki.
Oh,
superb.
Wow.
All right, we're getting at time, so
I guess this is our first podcast. So that wasn't bad. For any of you cats that are out there that have watched this whole thing or listened to this whole thing, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
We will be back next time. Thank you very much, Sunshine. Thank you, Sean. I'm Scotty. Look forward to seeing you all next time. And Sunshine.
A little plug to the McCartneys, Angie and Ruth. They have some really cool tech stuff that they're introducing. Voice, securing your voice through some AI and other things. But they're also going to be making sure that our podcast gets socialized with the crowd.
Big shouts to Angie and Ruth, right?
Yes.
I saw you on there and you were amazing. And Angie and Ruth, they are adorable. I love them. And I so look forward to meeting them one day. Maybe you can hook that up because I so want to meet them. But
absolutely.
They have an amazing podcast and you were awesome on that, Sunshine.
Angie's 94 coming out with her 4th book. And
my God.
She is amazing.
And they were my inspiration for my tin hat, Sunshine. And
yes.
I do have to, every time I put it on, I have to say we're apolitical. It's not a political statement.
No, it's solar power.
They inspire
your sustainable energy.
That's it.
Going straight to your brain.
Powers my brain. I need all the help I can get.
All right. Well, out here, what Joe doesn't know, I love the song.
Yes.